hello. May this find who this needs to find. This is actually a very important video, so I hope a lot of people end up watching this. I am in the pool right now because it's been 100 degrees here on the East Coast for like 4 days straight now. I think today is actually July the 4th, so you know what I'm saying? I don't know, I started to say happy the 4th, but yeah, I don't know. But so this video, so I'm here in the pool because it's too hot. Like, even though it's early in the morning, it's 90 degrees and it feels like it's 90 something degrees. You know, the feel like temperature is higher. So this is why I'm kind of chilling in the baby suit in the pool. So do something new, because I was going to be distracted, sweating bullets, and I was ultimately probably going to rush the video or not make one at all. So today's video is going to actually be about defense 101. And I feel like this is such an important video because not many people believe in witchcraft or believe in spiritual attacks. And I want to give you guys the signs to look out for and some things that you can do to combat it, because it's very sneaky. It's very sneaky. Sometimes you may mistake spiritual attacks as your own thinking. Sometimes you can misunderstand or not even, basically just not even recognize what a spiritual attack is. And this is no joke. So those of you who have bad anxiety and bad depression, some of that could just be spiritual attacks. You know, we all feel a little down. We all can feel nervous about life. But when it gets to the point where you can't even get out of bed, when it gets to the point where you're not taking care of yourself, when it gets to the point where you're having panic attacks and you're breaking down, some of you guys think you have personality disorders where at one point you're up, and the next point you're down, you know, that's manic bipolar disorder. Some of those could be spiritual attacks. Now, I am not dismissing the fact that these could be actual mental disorders. I am not dismissing the fact that it could come from what you eat, how you think, what you expose yourself to. But what I'm saying is sometimes what you expose yourself to, those are the spiritual attacks. If you think about black people and the music that we listen to, this trap music, all of this hip hop, you know, the way our music has transformed over the last 20 years, that has been a spiritual attack on the black community at a large. Because what you listen to, the frequencies that you listen to, is the frequencies that you ultimately start to align with. So if you are aligning with violence and hate and just low vibrational music, then what do you become? Low vibrational. And then what demographic is affected the most? The youth, because they are the most easily influenced, right? So that has been a large spiritual attack in the black community. I mean, let's get real. Like, y'all want to know why our music is like that? It's a spiritual attack. It really is. And then they play it over the radio waves, and radio waves go through the air. So it's whether you listen to the radio or not, whatever they're playing on the radio or your local radio station is impacting the atmosphere around you. Let's be real. It's not shishi foo. It's not just out of this world. It's not crazy. They're called airwaves. These are frequencies that are being sent through the air. It's literally impacting your frequency, your vibration, because remember, everything is protected. This is why people come to Baltimore and be like, it's depressing in Baltimore. I don't want to be in Baltimore. Ew. You know, 92Q, I'm calling y'all out. All the bullcrap that y'all tend to play on the radio, and you wonder why Baltimore is so violent. Look at the music that they're playing. Look at the music that they playing in Chicago. Look at the music that they playing in DC. Oh, well, they just playing the music that, you know what I'm saying, black people make. No. No. They're selective. The record companies definitely decide what is being put out there, what is mainstream. All of our music doesn't concern cussing, and that just shows how much little you know. So maybe if there's anybody that's thinking that, mind your business, because that shows just how little you know. So anyways, so defense. Have you ever been having a good day, right? And then all of a sudden, you know, or your thoughts have been positive. It could be even about a certain thing, right? And not to say that there isn't some level of worry there, that there isn't some level of, because spiritual attacks only work if there is some level of worry, some level of self-doubt, some level of sadness, right? That the frequency can latch onto and actually expand. So if there's something where you're just like, you know what, I may have my doubts, but overall I'm optimistic. This is going to work out for me. Maybe you're starting a business. This business is going to work out for me, but you don't know for sure, you know, because this is the first business that you've started. You're a little bit nervous, but you're just, you know, you're hoping for the best. And all of a sudden, your thoughts, you have to be very cognizant. Your thoughts can take a turn for the worse. I'm not playing this damn fly trying to terrorize me. Your thoughts can definitely take a turn for the worse. Now, all of a sudden, you're like, I made a mistake. You know, I made a mistake. This was a mistake. I can't do it. I'm not smart enough. I've never been a business owner. What if this happens? What if that happens? Do you start getting depressed because it's like, I can't get my money back. I don't know if I can do this. You start feeling very afraid and frightful. Just all of a sudden. Like no warning. There was nothing to precipitate that. You just, in your thoughts, or a thought just pops up and it just keeps going. See? Monitoring spirits do not want me to get this message out because it's the same fly over and over and over again. But I'm going to get it out. Same thing that they thought I wasn't going to get it out because it's too hot. No, I'm going to get this message out. I just got a little creative, baby. That is a spiritual attack. And you have to just learn. This is why reflection, meditation is so important. It is such a defense mechanism against spiritual attacks. Because if you don't know your own baseline, if you can't tell your thoughts, and this may take some time, do not beat yourself up. Do not be like, oh my gosh, I don't know myself. I'm just going to get attacked all the time. Excuse me. No. How you combat that, how you work through it, is that every time you get into one of those moods, just notice. Just gently notice. Notice and be like, dang, I'm all of a sudden thinking negative. I'm all of a sudden like really feeling like what is going on. And sometimes it can feel like such a negative cloud. That's how you know it's a spiritual attack. Like all of a sudden it's like a cloud is over your head and it's raining. And it's really hard to shake. You start to get this uneasy feeling in the pit of your stomach. You start to feel uneasy in your heart. Your thoughts start racing. That is external energy. That is not your energy. That is a spiritual attack. And you're like, who will want to spiritually attack me? What? And I don't even think, sometimes we get stuck on who. And you need to think about what. You are a business owner. You are becoming a business owner. That's special. You know, the more people that these energies can convince that life isn't worth enjoying, that you can't progress, that, you know, it's like the saying, hurt people hurt people. The more hurt people there are in the world, ideally, generally, the more hurt people will be created. Because then you're just passing on, oh, if I couldn't be a business owner, you probably can't be a business owner. You know, you're subconsciously passing on your doubt now to other people. But if you make it and you believe in yourself, the next person you meet, you be like, I didn't go to college and I built and I did me a business, or I left my job that I was at for 20 years. And now, guess what? I got to start all over doing what I love. The more encouragement that's out there, the less that negative energy can be spread. As the what does that Bible verse say? We deal not in flesh and blood, but in energies and principalities. But in spirits and principalities, something. Basically, it's we deal in the unseen and not the seen. So don't think that you're ever not important enough where nothing and no one wants to attack you. I just did a video that I was saying you have to not only protect your dreams, sometimes you have to be aware of who you're telling your dreams to, who you're telling your business to. That was my video about disclosure. Who are you telling your business to? Because some people like to hear that you're doing bad. You know? People just want to see you doing worse than them, right? So don't ever think that you're not powerful enough. You're not important enough, because you are all so important. You that's working at McDonald's, how am I important? I'm just working at, You are so important. Your energy, the energy that you put into McDonald's, the energy that we put into McDonald's as everyday individual people is what makes McDonald's a $1 billion industry. These industries are built by people like you, not by people who make the businesses. Because there are plenty of businesses with no one that's trying to buy from them. They're not selling out. So, if all of a sudden your thoughts start to change, pay attention to those thoughts and notice the change in thoughts. That is not you. That is not your thoughts. That is a spiritual attack. Okay, so what do? You go and you ground yourself. First, by just acknowledging that they aren't your thoughts, you'll start to sense an internal shift. You'll start to be like, you may still feel the energy, but you'll start to be like, why am I thinking like this? What's going on? What's wrong? Is something trying to tell me something? Is my intuition trying to tell me something? No, it's not your intuition. Well, it's your intuition trying to tell you now that those aren't your thoughts. But the thoughts themselves aren't trying to tell you anything. It's just trying to encourage you to quit, encourage you to feel sad, encourage you to feel down, encourage you to doubt yourself. So you go outside, you put your feet in the grass. You pick up a pen and you start writing about it. You clear your mind, you start singing, you start dancing to your favorite music. You do something that grounds your spirit. Even if you can't go anywhere, you're at work. And it strikes you right when you're at work. It always strikes you when you're at work, right? It's because you can't take a break and go sit in the grass. It's because you can't just start, you in your minds, you start to reflect. You start to reflect on the decisions that led you to make it. You start reflecting deliberately on positivity. You take a scalpel and you act like you're a doctor and you dissect all of that bullshit. Well, why is it that I don't think I can believe in myself? Well, why can't I do this? I thought I could do it yesterday. So why is today any different? You talk to yourself like that. Well, I'm actually doing it. I actually have my LLC. So what's making me so different than anybody else to where as though I can't succeed? If anybody else can succeed, I can succeed. I believe in me. Yeah, I know what I'm feeling, but what I'm feeling might not even be for me. You call your power and your energy back from those negative thoughts, from those negative energies. And the most important thing is you release what does not belong to you. You say, I release what does not belong to me. I release what does not belong to me. And you will immediately start to feel lighter. Because those aren't your thoughts. Those aren't your feelings. Those are not your energy. So once you release it, you just start to feel better. You're like, oh, okay, I was feeling uneasy, but that feeling has gone away. I don't feel uneasy anymore. I don't feel doubtful. I don't feel so afraid anymore. I'm starting to feel much like how I used to feel. There may be a little hint of anxiety there, and you can work through that, but sometimes anxiety is just natural. So don't beat yourself up. Be like, oh, if I just didn't have this unwavering confidence, I wouldn't have been susceptible to it in the first place. Look, this is a human experience, which is why these entities love this realm so much. They love the human experience. They love it because it's natural to feel highs and lows. And what they try to do is they try to capitalize on the lows. So what else? If all of a sudden you tell somebody, how else do you know like you're being attacked? I feel like that's a great one. A lot of energies and beings attack through your thoughts. Sometimes they attack through energy. So they send energy attacks. All of it's energy attacks. But what I mean is it may be internal or it may be external. So then they start sending external energy attacks, or you may experience external energy attacks where everything just seems to be going wrong, right? Like, it's like all of a sudden, like, it's all this bad luck. You're late for work. It's all of these frustrating events. You're dropping things. You're losing things. You're misplacing things. My uncle, he was Muslim. He was of the Islamic religion. And I remember he used to tell me about jinns. DJINN, and how if you're losing something, that's a negative spirit called a jinn that's hiding your belongings, right? Now, every time you lose something, every time you misplace something, and it seems like, I just had it. Where did it go? That's a jinn. And I love to use that example because even religion, I sometimes point to external forces. That's like, you know what? These are energies. These are spiritual beings. And just as above, so below, just as you experience highs and lows, good and bad, positive, negative, right? Just two sides of a coin, all energy. There's things we want to experience and things we don't want to experience. Just as all of that exists, so too does energy. There's bad energy, negative energy. There's good spirits and there's negative spirits. Sometimes they may send you negative energy. And that may come into the form of all of a sudden you're losing things. All of a sudden you're misplacing things. Now, all of a sudden, you get a McDonald's Frappuccino. We was just talking about McDonald's. You get a frappe early in the morning. Now, all of a sudden from that one place, and you know what I'm saying, that machine always works. They always work, and it's a good McDonald's. Now, the day that everything is going wrong, now all of a sudden their frappe machine is down. You're having a hard time at work. There's all of this resistance to you living your life. Now, resistance can be internal. It can come from internal sources. It can come from things like self-sabotage. If things are getting too well, sometimes we tend to self-sabotage ourselves. And, we tend to self-sabotage ourselves and, everything just seems negative. And I'm telling you guys this because I want you guys to be aware of all the possibilities. Oh my God, you got right here, right on the nose. Right on the nose. That was on the nose. So today's video must be right on the motherfucking nose because I just had a bug jump right on my nose inside the pool. I'm in the middle of the pool. And it jumped from my leg to right on my nose. Because the reason why I'm posing all of these different scenarios, right, where I'm saying it could be internal but it could be external energy, is because sometimes we'll get into the mindset of everything and everybody and all these external forces are out to get me, and then you do all your defense stuff and you do your protections and all of this, and nothing changes, and you just feel like, oh, I'm cursed, and victim mentality, and the whole time you're doing it to yourself, because the ego can be tricky. The subconscious can be tricky. If you don't believe you deserve a good life, you don't believe you deserve good things, you believe that bad things always happen to you, then that's exactly what's going to happen. But if things just seem out of the norm for you, if things are just happening out of the norm, or sometimes self-sabotage can also kick in when you're about to move to the next level. When you first start that business, all of a sudden you're losing things, you're dropping things, everything is discouraging you. That might be self-sabotage because you don't believe that you can do it anyway. So now your mind is looking for a reason that you couldn't do it. So anyways, but sometimes it really is external forces. You just never know who is sending malintent, bad intent, what type of energies. You never know what type of impact you are supposed to have where you have caught the energy. You have caught the attention of these negative energetic beings that just want to discourage you along your path. Maybe you just found spirituality. And now it seems like once you found spirituality, when you was in religion, everything was cool. You was chilling. Things wasn't where you wanted to be. But now all of a sudden, you find spirituality. You're shining your light. You're letting your light shine. You're learning about all this. And things just start getting worse. Things start turning up. You like, did somebody light a fire underneath my light? Underneath my life? And not in the way where it's like, ooh, I'm motivated. I got a fire lit underneath my butt. I'm passionate. No, in a way of like, why everything seems like it's burning down? Now, sometimes that could be, you see why I started in the beginning of energetic attacks can be so tricky? I think things come with negativity. Things come with overwhelming negativity. You start to get that feeling, that inkling. You start to feel really bad and really negative. I think that's what separates things that are destined, things that are part of your journey, because maybe that friend that was a low-key hater, you didn't even know was a hater, is falling away from your life. You're getting a bunch of family and a bunch of friends that are falling away, because you're realizing you're standing in who you are. That's different than spiritual attacks, because spiritual attacks can come from people we love, can come from people we know, can come from people that we just need to get out of our energy. they can work through those people as well. I'm just hoping that this makes sense, because when it comes to defense, it's very tricky. When it comes to looking out for spiritual attacks, it can get tricky, because they designed it like that. It's supposed to be like that. It's not supposed to be easy. They want it to be like, oh, you're just feeling crazy, or, oh, you're doing this to yourself, or they intentionally make it like that so that it's harder to spot, it's harder to maneuver, right? These are like war tactics, if you think about it. And the more ambiguous and hard to spot and more difficult to describe things are, if you know anything about narcissists, that's how narcissists operate. Think about how narcissists operate. They operate in a way where if you were to call them out, it would be so easy to gaslight you, to be like, that's you. No, you're crazy. No, all of that's in your mind. And it's the same thing with spiritual attacks. Spiritual attacks is narcissistic energy. Narcissistic energy get their energy from these negative entities. Where you think, narcissists learn it from. So if you feel like in your life you're being gaslighted, like things are just going wrong and they usually don't, or it's just an overwhelming amount, and you're like, okay, I know this isn't me. Hello. Ooh, child, wait till I do me a video on monitoring spirits, because that's a part of the narcissistic gaslighting. They'll act like they're minding their business, but they just, sometimes it's your magnetism, baby. Sometimes they just so magnetized to you that, they find their way in your presence. They could be on the other side of the house. They could be minding their business. They could be asleep. And all of a sudden they'd be attracted to your energy. So anyways, if you aren't sure, if you don't know, if you suspect, if there's even an inkling that this video is resonating with you, where you're like, yeah, stuff be happening, and I know it just don't feel right. It's just something about it. It's just something about my anxiety. It's something about my depression. It's just something about the way I feel when I'm in my low moods. It's something about the resistance, that when I'm trying to do something, especially for myself, or I'm trying to move forward, how all this resistance is there. Like, I know it's not me, because it's not always like this. Even when I do something new, it's not always like this, but sometimes it is. Here's what you do. It's called spiritual hygiene. You have to develop a spiritual hygiene. And that just means having a regime, a ritual. It's just like, not even a ritual, but it's like a routine. Just like you have to shower, put on deodorant, bathe, you have to do these things to keep yourself clean every day. Not every couple days, every day. Honestly, it's the same thing with spiritual hygiene. It's certain things that you can do every day. Get you some sage. 5 and below got sage. Get you a protection crystal. Usually they're dark and colored, or amethyst can be, the purple crystal can be a wonderful protection crystal. Just start to carry that with you, and see if that starts to make a difference. Give it some time. If you don't believe in it at all, if you think that this is just a rock, if you think it's just smoke, it will not work for you, okay? Because even though it works, it doesn't require belief. Your belief can actively work against it. So just get you a sage and sage out your house. If you feel like it's real negative and your house is real dark, it's real just depressing, whenever you get in your moods and you feel like you just can't get up and light some sage. And if you still don't feel good, lay back down. But I guarantee you, even if you do lay back down, you won't feel as bad, or you'll be like, something feels different. Have your windows open, look in the right ways to sage. Wear black. If you are at work and they start to attack You know, that's where a lot of the attacks happen. Wear black underclothes, wear a black bra, wear a black t-shirt, wear black underwear. Because black is very protective. That's a protective color. When you look into the color spectrum, black absorbs. So that's why black is used as the protection color. So wear black, and that will protect you against energies. You know, a lot of people say, you know, oh, I don't know if that was for y'all to see, but it was two butterflies, two white butterflies circling around each other. That's not for other people. Sorry. Sometimes what the signs that the universe sent for you isn't for other people. That's what I was thinking. I was like, that they just ducked just as I turned it around. Like, sometimes it's not for other people. Sometimes it's just for you. But wear black. Look into crystals. Look into sage. Take spiritual baths. Spiritual baths help me a lot, because that energy can be attached to your aura. And water is very cleansing, right? You take a shower, you cleanse. Take a salt bath. Salt is cleansing. What do you clean your chicken in? Salt, lemon juice. Try taking a bath like that. And you just soak and you relax in the bath. And when you get out, you know, you may feel so tired because it's all these energies that you were carrying being stripped away from you. You may take a nap. All of a sudden you tired. You take you a nap, because spiritual baths, when they really work, when you get out, all that energetic work, what? You get out, you be tired. You take you a nap, you wake up and you feel totally different. I used to have to take a bath every single day. That's how much negative energy, that's how much energy attacks was on me. Now I sage every day. Now I use grounding. Now I use visualization. Go outside. Put your feet in the grass and be like, please, I don't know who I'm talking to, because you don't even have to know. Mother Gaia, Earth, please take this negative energy. It's actually scientific. The Earth gives you negative ions as you pass positive ions into the Earth. And you would think negative is positive. No. Yeah, it's actually switched. So negative ions actually is an antioxidant. It helps your body from oxidizing. So oxygen, every time you breathe, you're literally setting your body on fire slowly, which is why you die, because of oxidation. Rust, right? Think about rust. We are slowly rusting away. But that reverses it. So putting your feet in the ground actually sends you, Mother Gaia, she sends you negative ions, which are antioxidants. And you pass her those positive ions, which aids in oxidation through the Krebs cycle and all that good stuff. You have to protect your baby. And you guys are my babies. This is my baby. This is my project, my passion project. You guys to protect it. So that's the reason why I keep pausing, because somebody that I know for a fact is a monitoring spirit in my life. And, you know, you can do some research, like, what are monitoring spirits? People who basically, they're just nosy, you know? They like to monitor you. They like to see what you're doing, where you're at. They like to tap into your energy. I literally had her tell me that she went through an identity crisis trying to be me. When I first realized it wasn't even when I first realized, like, you know, but it was one of the darkest periods in my life. I was receiving a lot of energetic attacks, and I didn't know she was one of them. I'll get into destiny, people trying to destiny swap, I'll get into soul fragmentation. Those are kind of like advanced topics and details. But either way, you have to be able to protect yourself. Because that goes all into that too. So look into writing your name down on a piece of paper. Like, I saw one where it was like, write your name 7 times, your name and your birthday. Put it in a solution of rosemary, salt, you know, different herbs. You can burn your name. You know, make a salt circle with your name and then burn around the edges. And if it penetrates the salt circle, then you know your defenses are weak. So I used to use that one as like a to see whether or not, you know, and it says, you know, you'll know the direction in which, you know, north to south, east to west, you'll know the direction of, you know, that the energy attacks are coming from. But it just used to tell me about my defenses in general, if my defenses were weak, if I needed to strengthen my defenses, if the same thing I was doing for a week wasn't working, it was time to look up something new. It was time to think of something new. You know, you can use your creativity. Your creativity is beautiful. I would call on my dragons. As I would sage my house, I would be like, any and every entity that's here, that's willing to do, that's trying to do me harm, you must go, you must leave, do not return. And I would just go throughout my house, you must go, you must leave, do not return, you must go, you must leave, do not return. I got a little story before we go, because this is turning into a long one. When I first started saging, I was living alone, and I was experiencing a lot of spiritual attack. I always was. You know, it's been happening for years. But this is when I first got into spirituality. And I had paid $150 for this information that I'm giving to y'all for free. And I burned garlic, frankincense, and it was garlic, frankincense, and I think dragon's blood. But you can burn different herbs and use that to smoke out your house. And I burned those 3 herbs, and it was 40 plus crows. Like, because I had one of those sliding back doors. It was in a townhouse. It was one of those sliding back doors where, you know, your whole back, you can see your whole back. Oh my goodness. I started saging downstairs and nothing, right? Had the door open. Went upstairs, saged. And when I came back downstairs, it was 40 freaking crows out my back door. And I thought at first, you know, it took me a while, and you know, before I learned about, you know, my spiritual deities, you know, it was a sign from Mother Hecate being like, hey, I'm here. You called, I'm here. You know, sometimes your guides, it's not that you're not protected. It's just that you have to start protecting yourself as well in order to gain more protection. They like, okay, you know, I can't help you if you don't help yourself type of deal. Even though they're always helping you, but it's just a greater level. Like, once you call for help, it's like a beacon. It's like a help beacon, you know, when you start doing for yourself. And they're like, oh yeah, she ready. We ready. She ready for us to step in and really like, shim, 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 shim. I thought it was a bad omen. I thought it was all the negative entities in my house outside. No, that was all my protection outside. But it still let me know it was still a very spiritual experience of the crows was all in the backyard. They were all in the trees. They were cawing. And it didn't take me about 2 minutes, but about 2 minutes to freaking sage upstairs and come back. It's only a 2-bedroom, small, wasn't that big. Oh my goodness. So it works. Take it from me. It works. Start. The spiritual baths work. You'll start a lot will start to change. Because I used to have a lot of anxiety. I used to have a lot of intrusive thoughts. Intrusive thoughts are not your thoughts. You know, that whole saying, she let the intrusive thoughts win. They're not your thoughts. They are spiritual attacks. 3939, as I said that. So I hope this helps. May this find who it needs to find. Hopefully it makes sense. Hopefully it was confusing enough to make sense. Because, like I said, spiritual attacks mimic narcissistic attacks. And it could leave you feeling, is this happening? Am I crazy? Is it in my head? Instead of going around and around and around and looking for a confirmation, you will only get that confirmation once you start protecting yourself. Wear that black. Buy that $2 crystal. Because, you know, a small little black tourmaline doesn't cost that much. What really is no, black tourmaline. It is black tourmaline. Black tourmaline is amazing. Onyx is amazing. I don't know why some of them, it's like, some of the black crystals, they're like losing it. But black tourmaline, oh my gosh, it's such a powerful protective crystal. That was the one that I really used a lot. It's the one that's made of volcanic ash. I don't know. I just had it. I don't know. I'm blanking. And I think I'm blanking is because I think you guys need to find the crystal that works for you. You guys need to do research. Do not be afraid to do research. I gave you the start. Oh, do floor washes. Look up saltpeter. Look up menthol and camphor. Put menthol and camphor in the corners of your house. These are things that I paid for that I wouldn't have thought of. You know, that sometimes when you look it up, you can't find it. Put camphor blocks in the corners of your house. Wash your floors with saltpeter and be careful with like ammonia, but I think it's saltpeter, ammonia, and something else. Look up those little blue laundry tablets. I think that was like included in it. You could take a bath with those as well. These were some of the unique things that I paid for that I'm just going to give to you for free, because everybody don't have $150 to pay for, but we need that level of defense, you know? So I hope this helps. You guys, TikTok is a wonderful place to look up things. Look some stuff up on YouTube. You can look some stuff up on the web. There are plenty of ways to protect yourself. And remember, if you recognize that a person is an attacker, if a person is a monitoring spirit, do not attack them. Do not do anything, because they're going to want to. And as soon as you attack them, you become just like them, and they've won. Hurt people hurt people. Your protection, your angelic protection, your spiritual protection will decrease. You will not reach the power that you're meant to reach. You will not have the blessings that you're meant to have. Defend. Reminds me of my favorite movie, one of my favorites, The School for Good and Evil. And in it, it was like a rule, like, why is good good? Why must good only defend? Because if good attacks, then inherently it is evil. Do not. That was so much truth in that movie. Magic follows emotion. Do not attack. Do not retaliate. There's where a lot of new practitioners, a lot of new witches and warlocks, they go wrong. And keep up with your spiritual attack. So I heard this thing of like, when you first start cleansing yourself, you have to keep it up. Because you send it away, it's going to come back. It's like you're playing ping pong. Sometimes with your attackers, sometimes with the energies themselves. You're playing ping pong. You're dispelling the energy and they're going to send it right back. You're dispelling it and they're going to send it right back. But you have to last longer than them. You can outlast them. Just make it a routine, just like you washing your butt. They will get tired. It takes energy to keep sending these attacks. They will run out of energy. It took me months, but it's years for some of them. Some of them still trying. But as my energy levels are rising, theirs are depleting. You can outlast them. But it's very, very important that you keep it up. Because if you stop, all of that, it's like it gains momentum. It's like y'all playing ping pong. As the ball keeps getting hit, as the spiritual, as the negativity keeps getting bounced. This is where personal responsibility comes in. If you stop, and don't be afraid to start, but if you stop, and it's okay if you miss a day or two, but if you just stop in general, be like, oh, I don't believe in this. Something, it can come back. It can come back worse than what you thought. All of a sudden, you had a mental breakdown. All of a sudden, your car broke down. All of a sudden, you got into an accident. And I'm not saying that to scare you. I'm saying that to prepare you. That the energies being sent are no joke. You already see them in your everyday life. If you're sick and tired of being sick and tired, and you're ready to defend yourself, this is for you. Like, comment, subscribe, hype your girl up. You know what I'm saying? I really hope this helps. I really hope it finds who it needs to find. And yeah, love you guys.